Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So this was a video I wanted to make for a while, talking about Telltale Games and like how their IPs work. Not really exactly how their IPs work, but like talking about like the process of them making their games and like how they're setting in the universe. I know this might sound weird at first, but obviously you guys will understand more in the video. So it's obvious that Telltale Games base their games on IPs, like for example The Walking Dead is obviously based on The Walking Dead, and it's based on the comics, I believe. There's like some debate about that, but I still think it's based on the comics from like what I've seen before on like interviews. Like it's based in like that world, for example, and it's like that world is currently like canon. So that's something that Telltale Games likes to enjoy doing, is trying to make everything canon to like its original IP, obviously, just to make it like as important as the original story, I guess, or the main story that people would know about. So like Walking Dead is like kind of in the Walking Dead universe in the comic books, and then The Wolf Among Us is actually a prequel in the Fables comic, and then we have Game of Thrones, which is based on the show, and it's like through like seasons 3 to seasons 5, I believe, something like that within the timeline of like the game. And then for other games like Batman and Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like their own separate universes where Telltale Games basically made their own versions of Batman and the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was an interesting take in my personal opinion, because I just personally enjoyed those. Like they're building on their own version of the worlds, which it has some ups and downs. I think Batman definitely had like some positives, and Guardians of the Galaxy, I think Guardians of the Galaxy was on the right track, but I think there was just some negative feedback. But yeah, I just want to talk about in this video like why a prequel is successful for Telltale Games, and that's why The Wolf Among Us 2 and The Expanse are both prequels, and I just thought it'd be a fun discussion to talk about. But yeah, if you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, it would help our channel a lot, and let's get started. So, in case you guys don't know, The Wolf Among Us 2 is actually a prequel, and The Wolf Among Us in general is a prequel. I believe it sets like 20 years before the Fables comics, and it's a very long time. The thing is that in The Wolf Among Us, the characters, it's hard for them to really age, at least like for example Bigby Wolf, it's kind of hard for him to age. He's gonna be living for a while, so that's why they were able to like do this many years of like a prequel. And the fact that it's like 20 years before the main Fables comic shows them that they really wanted to do like a lot with these characters 20 years before, because if you think about it, 20 years is a long time to like build and develop like relationships and like build the atmosphere of the world. It's clear that they wanted to do something like far away from like the Fables comics, and I personally have never read the Fables comics, but I'm assuming that Bill Willingham had like a large part in like making the canon, because I know there was some controversy within like the Wolf Among Us season 1's original script, where it was like following the comics and it was following like a certain direction. I believe that Bill Willingham did not want. In case you guys don't know, Bill Willingham is the author for Fables. But now I believe Bill doesn't have any involvement at all with Wolf Among Us, and DC's kind of letting them do their own thing. So I'm not sure what season 2 is going to look like, but I find it really interesting that the Wolf Among Us and the other Telltale games, but I really want to mention Wolf Among Us. Wolf Among Us was definitely like one of their popular games, alongside Walking Dead season 1 and 2, and I feel really confident saying that just because I really did see a hype, and there's like multiple reasons why there could have been like a lot of hype for Wolf Among Us, but like it's really weird in my personal opinion, because I have no idea like what the exact reason could be, but it could be just because it was after Walking Dead season 1 release, and Walking Dead season 1 was like their massive Game of the Year best time seller. I believe it was Game of the Year, and then Wolf Among Us just came out after that. And then true, a lot of people say that Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones are great, but I feel like Wolf Among Us is like the one that gets talked about the most, and to this day it still gets talked about, but most likely because we have a season 2 of that game. And Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones, that's when people mentioned that that's when Telltale Games quality started to go like after those games. I feel like the quality started to go a little bit downhill, or like it wasn't just selling enough. That's what I'm assuming, at least. I personally like those games, but I really think that was like the tipping point of like when the games were going down. But yeah, a prequel is really successful because I really want to mention the Expanse of Telltale series. I understand that I haven't seen the show, so I can't really like comment exactly on it, like making a comparison to the show. But considering I played the episode 1, and you guys probably played episode 1 as well, it's really interesting to see how they want to take a character like Kamina Drummer, and they really want to expand her world, because the funny thing is that she's not even the main character in the Expanse show. And I didn't realize this, but she was like a side character, I believe, in season 2, and then she kind of became a main character in season 3 of the Expanse. So I found that personally like really interesting, because I knew nothing about her. I really thought she was like the main character of the show, but it seemed like she was like maybe the most least developed character, or at least least developed origin story, I guess you could say. And I find it really cool that Telltale wanted to like basically expand her world and like give more depths of like the Expanse world. Because I think one of the main problems with the show, or not with the show, but I think one of the main problems with Telltale Games, with Game of Thrones, I'm gonna be mentioning that as an example. I think Game of Thrones did a really good job with like capturing like the aesthetic of the show, and they really wanted to be in the timeline of like the Game of Thrones show, because that was like when the most interesting things I think would happen, even though I feel like they could have done a prequel or something. But like you can definitely tell that they involved like a lot of the actors from the show, and like a lot of the characters, and the characters, I feel like they were used too much at times in Game of Thrones, the game, just because of the fact that it's obvious that they'll live. They basically are like, is it canon or like invincible? Like there's like no way, there's like no stakes, I guess, with those characters. Like, you know, nothing bad's gonna happen to them unless you've seen the show. Like, for example, there was like one choice in Game of Thrones where you could like stab Ramsay, and I thought that was really pathetic in my personal opinion, just because of the fact that you know he can't die in the show because he's literally alive. So it's kind of like moments like those, like where I felt like Telltale Games kind of like were trying to build up stake, and you can really just tell that there wasn't stake there if you've like seen the show, obviously. It's why I feel like a prequel is like really good with the Expanse, because they just really want to expand the world of the Expanse and like show what the Expanse is. And episode 1 of the Expanse did a good job introducing like what the world is, and it seems like it's gonna be expanding more upon it in episode 2. Even the Wolf Among Us did the same thing, introducing like the Fables characters and like explaining the lore, and there's like a lot of in-depth discussions and like dialogue, and then you can read stuff, I believe, in Wolf Among Us. And the same with the Expanse. Like, the Expanse, you can like read stuff and understand what things are going on. That's what I personally like enjoy, and I'm glad Telltale Games is going with this approach, and especially with Wolf Among Us 2, it's going to be going with this approach, and I think it's going to be picking up like right after season 1, so it's going to be like after like 6 months or something like that. So I'm personally really excited to see like what they're going to be doing with that and how that's going to work. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this discussion video on the Wolf Among Us and the Expanse. I really like talking about them, or it's really a Telltale Games video. I guess it really isn't about the Expanse, but I didn't mention it, so I guess it is about the Expanse. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, share, subscribe, helps out the channel a bunch. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we're actually almost at 4,000 subscribers, so if you guys will hit that subscribe button, that would be really appreciative. And yeah, I shall see you guys later in the next video. So I hope you guys have a good one. Goodbye.